Hey everybody, this is Greg, known on social media as LSV for Life, owner of the Backstage Pass and Late Period Adventures. If you're looking for a great weekend adventure, I run an escape room rental called The Mystery of the Lost Souls on Lake Perry. Hit me up if you're interested in booking your next vacation getaway. Also excited to be the home of your next great podcast, Twitch in the Box Sports Talk, where my nephew Chris, aka Twitch, and the son of legendary Joe Kralichek, Big Willie, aka The Box, we'll be breaking down NFL games here every week. All right, let's go, Big Willie.
All right, so let's just start off here. We'll roll into some interesting trades that have happened since the last time we started here. So we'll skip over the biggest one, obviously. We'll save that for last. But Adam Thielen gets traded back to the Vikings, which Vikings are having. Jay Jettis is having some injury trouble. He's had some hamstring stuff, not been back. Jordan Addison's out for at least 4 weeks with the lower leg stuff too. So that's going to bring in some veteran depth. Also, it's kind of a nice homecoming for Thielen going as an undrafted free agent. He wasn't necessarily a number one wide receiver at any point in his career, but he's always been a solid go-to guy. Always enjoyed watching Thielen. So Thielen, Kenny Pickett traded from the Browns to the Raiders. So it gives Aiden O'Connell's out for, I think they said half the season at least, with a shoulder injury. So that gives backup quarterback to the Raiders. Always liked Kenny Pickett. Always enjoyed watching him play. I never felt like he got a fair chance anywhere, genuinely. And then the last one here that we will hit on is Brian Robinson getting traded from the 49ers, or from the Commanders to the 49ers, which adds another depth piece at running back, which nobody knows what Christian McCaffrey is going to be like after only playing 2 games last year. Brian Robinson has been he's been the starter for 4 years, I think. 5 years he's been a solid running back. And so it'll be interesting to see if Christian McCaffrey does get hurt, if he's going to take the reins, or if not. So, and then John Mechie, which is kind of a name that, if we remember, he was the guy they beat cancer. He came out of Alabama, had cancer in Alabama, came back, he was in remission, and then they found out he had it again, got more treatments, and now he's on the 49ers, which he's always been a underrated guy just because of all the stuff he's had to deal with. But I feel like he was good at Bama before all this happened. So I'd be interested to see if he doesn't work his way up in the depth chart for the Eagles and become a top 3, like their top 3 receivers out on the field.
No, I agree as far as like going back through those kind of newsworthy drafts or trades since the last time we talked. I said, but like you said, Thielen being a nice secondary piece for a first year quarterback, first full season.
Yeah.
We're bearing injury for J.J. McCarthy, and then a system that Thielen, like you said, he was always a solid number 2, never a solid number 1. So like Minnesota knows how to use him and gives him another weapon. I agree with you too as far as like being a Pittsburgh guy with Kenny Pickett. Like I don't think he ever got a fair shot, and so he's kind of seen what it takes about sitting behind Hurts last year in Philadelphia, and then for heaven forbid, I think Geno Smith's a quality starter like we talked about, where the Raiders will probably steal some wins.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a small chance that Pickett's with the right person, the right situation. Who knows where he gets a shot, especially if he gets to give like a nice quality, at least number 2 piece, with Connell anticipated to miss some time. And then he said, I think the biggest one out of the ones you just mentioned would probably be the Robinson trade, just because, like you said, McCaffrey from year to year, you never know how many games you're going to get out of him. So when he's productive on the field, he's one of the top 3 to 5 fantasy backs, just all-around backs, 3-down back. But having somebody, whether McCaffrey stays healthy or not, that was part of the problem, was the inconsistent run game last year when people went down, and giving Brock hopefully not much of it. I mean, you can't duplicate, obviously, a Christian McCaffrey unless you have a Saquon Barkley or something like that.
You got to have a top 2
But
guy.
you still have a quality starter where even if McCaffrey does miss some time, Brock Purdy said with that system, when he's still got enough other offensive weapons where, like last year, said that they were kind of inconsistent when McCaffrey did get hurt.
Yeah.
So I think Purdy, with the right system, I'm still a Purdy believer, but he needs those other pieces, and I think that's a nice quality depth piece, regardless, for San Francisco.
And then roll into the biggest trade here. Obviously, you saved this for last. But Micah Parsons doesn't reach a deal with the Cowboys and gets traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Go ahead and what do you think about that?
I actually had to go like check on my Facebook because when I first saw it, I thought it was one of those fake news stories.
Yeah,
at first, and I'm just
had
like,
to go to
no
ESPN
way.
to confirm,
Yeah,
man.
and I know that there'd been, there had been a lot of uh, speculation about like as far as like potential trade suitors, but I didn't really pay much attention. I thought Dallas would make it work, and we were talking about it before the podcast.
Yeah.
It's about just another one of those things where I get it. Jerry Jones is old school, wants to stand on business, but just way too involved, and like I think this can be a decision where his pride is going to end up hurting his team because I can't imagine if you're Dallas, professional football player, but as far as like he's top three, top four defensive player, perennial defensive player of the year candidate, and he was that defense. He was the best player on Dallas, and so like literally weeks before the season ends, as far as like your Dallas on that side, like I felt like that could be one of those trades where it's like on the flip side where it didn't work out, but when Herschel Walker they traded him and some of those other like all time blunders, I think that Green Bay came on the plus side of this trade. So I don't get it.
I look back a couple years ago, probably I think it was 2019, might have been the COVID year 2020, but when Jamal Adams get traded from the Jets, he was a good safety with the Jets, he was a good run fit safety, had decent pass defense. So the Seahawks are 2 first-round picks, and then Jamal Adams is now bouncing around the league. I know he's on a roster somewhere, but we don't know where he's at, like off the top of the dome. So it reminds me kind of of that because it's crazy that the Cowboys gave him up for so little. Like Kenny Clark is obviously top 5 interior defensive tackle every year. He's been good, but also he's 29 years old, which I mean, obviously there's guys like Chris Jones who are good later in the 30s, but not everybody's Chris Jones either. And it'll help their D line, but also like you said, and it's a really good point is they traded him a week before the season started. Like that hurts the Cowboys. I feel like that has to hurt morale. Like you're losing your team captain, you're losing one of your studs, and then you have to roll out there. You're like the backup guy's going to start probably because they haven't signed anybody to like come in and help. And then the Packers, I think they got a steal. Like they lose an older defensive tackle, they were going to have to re up anyways.
Yeah.
For top 5 edge rusher.
Yeah.
And defensive player of the year candidate. That'll definitely help in the playoffs because, like we said last podcast, is the NFC North is loaded. Like J.J. McCarthy, which we'll see what he is, but Kevin O'Connell has a good offense. The Lions, they lost their coordinators, but like still have Jared Goff. They still have the pieces. They just got to figure out how the pieces connect. And then the Bears being the Bears. Who knows what's going to happen there? But I feel like that turned the Packers into rivaling for the first seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because adding a defensive weapon like that with their already solid defense, plus they have that Luke Van Ness that they drafted a couple years ago in the first round. He's kind of coming on. Like they could be a really dangerous team if they could figure out it offensively. Because obviously, I can name 6 receivers on the Packers, and I don't think I can name 6 receivers on the Broncos. Just because how many guys they have, Packers don't know who the number 1 is. Yeah. Which hopefully Matthew Golden works out for them for their first overall pick, or not first overall, but first round pick. But talking about award winners, and let's roll into, we're going to make our award-winning predictions this year.
So can I say one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, just somebody that like Micah Parsons, where you talk about the up-and-coming linebackers and other like people that Green Bay has. I said that frees up a lot. So like when they're not taking on the number 1, they're not taking away the coverage. Now they have to account. 2 guys have to account for Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
you're really rolling the dice unless you have a stud as a tackle. So then that opens up more space on the other side to open things up. And so, like you said, I agree with you. When I think of Green Bay and that trade, when I saw it last week, the first name that came to mind was another defensive player of the year candidate and Hall of Famer, all-time great. But when the Packers traded for nothing for Reggie White. So it's just like, to me, it almost puts them on that level. So I said, now it's like, okay, well, if Green Bay figures it out and you're playing a cool game in Lambeau, said, and you have that edge rusher and you got one of the all-time best in Parsons, they have a pretty good young secondary. You got Jacobs to ground out the win the old-fashioned way. Like I said, and you said enough pieces on offense, and still you just kind of forget about the head coach. But he's still a great offensive mastermind.
Matt LaFleur still has it.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I think that going back to what you said, I think that trade could be all-time.
Not be good.
Not unless you're Dallas.
Yeah. So. I think one more thing is I think this is probably prime example, and might be our last example of Jerry Jones putting his hand too far into the cookie jar. Because obviously there was all kind of speculation, but they had a handshake deal without the agent. Agent got involved, all this stuff. And it's just Jerry Jones obviously shaped the NFL into what it is today. Like with all the stuff he did, and he sued the NFL and won. Like he made the NFL into a business. So without the NFL is not where it's at without Jerry Jones.
Right.
But also, this is kind of new school coming in and saying, "Hey, man, like it worked, and when you were building this, but now where we're at, you can't be doing this anymore.
Right.
Like everybody has representation. You always." So I don't think Jerry Jones ever steps down, but I think I don't think he's ever going to step down, but he should.
Yeah.
But into award winners here, so we'll go MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then Comeback Player of the Year. And then around week 4 or 5, we'll do Rookies of the Year. We just got to see.
Sure.
You don't know who's going to start and who's not.
Sure.
But roll it with MVP here. My box's MVP pick here is Saquon Barkley. He was close last year. But I feel like he has another back year. He's returning his whole offensive line. Defense, like their defense is going to be good, so they're going to get late game carries. And he's not. He's obviously like last year. He could have broke his rushing record against the Giants, and he said no, let the young guys go. So he's not selfish. But I think this year, I think they have an almost better year because like last year, I think it was his first year in the system. Imagine all the crazy stuff they're drawing up now for this guy to do all these crazy runs, all this. Who knows what's going to happen? So my MVP is Saquon Barkley. It's probably a wild MVP pick just because it's a running back, and MVP has been predominantly quarterback pick for who knows how long now. And then my dark horse MVP pick would be. I had a couple of dark horses MVP picks, but I would say dark horse MVP pick would be Pat Mahomes, which is kind of crazy to say. Hey, Pat Mahomes isn't an MVP contender, but after if we go back and remember last year, we have all the late comeback games. Like you never like, wow, that's old Mahomes. But I think people have been, after losing the Super Bowl the way they did, I could see Mahomes coming fired up, and you get almost like his first year starting Mahomes back with Xavier Worthy year 2 in the system, who's almost a Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say anybody's a Tyreek Hill because Tyreek's one of one, obviously.
Sure.
But I say my dark horse candidate would be Patrick Mahomes, which is crazy to say dark horse candidate because he's top 2 quarterbacks of all time in my opinion. But dark horse candidate's Mahomes. Straight out.
Those are solid picks. I would really lean towards that Saquon Barkley pick, but because of that, I'm being boring and conservative here. So, but because of it being a running back and predominant, there are a lot of guys you can put here. I think Jalen Hurts is I think after getting that monkey off his back and him winning one, I know Philly's won 2 in the last several years, but I think all those offensive weapons, and I think Joe Burrow will put up Madden type numbers again and guys like that. I'm going to be really boring though. So I think and we'll get to that later, but I think the Bills are going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, and because of that, I think Josh Allen will be the repeat.
I think Josh Allen's going back to back.
Yeah, the 2 guys that haven't figured, and that's nothing against Mahomes, because obviously no one's done it as consistent and at as high a level as Mahomes, but it's the 2 guys in the regular season are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And I think this is the year that Buffalo, when they're the one, I think they'll be the 1 seed in the AFC, and I think that he'll be the main reason for it. But I do like your Mahomes pick because I kind of teetered on putting Mahomes in, and like you said, it's kind of weird to even consider like that being a dark horse or like an underdog. The guy that's the only one that's been to 5 Super Bowls already.
Yeah, it's just crazy to say.
I think because of, like you said, the way that they lost and just having that like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan mentality, where it's going to be, I think since they lost that game, everything's been laser focused and pinpoint perfection for Mahomes. So, and just a reminder, because that's all I've seen people either as late as this last week. I've seen people have him as bad as like number 5, like the 5th best quarterback in the NFL, which blows my mind. And there are some talented guys, but I don't know how much people make too much of a big deal out of that. But Mahomes is like old school enough, I think, where like he's been keeping notes on tabs on that all off season. Yeah. But I still think Allen. Anyway.
Yeah, I think of Mahomes just sitting there like the Kobe Bryant. Why you not smiling? You're up 2-3 games to 0. Job's not done. I feel like that's Mahomes. Like they went last year. He's obviously been to the top. He knows what it takes. I could see, yeah. Offensive player of the year. My offensive player of the year is so I kind of obviously I went running back for MVP.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that Joe Burrow wins offensive player of the year if he doesn't win MVP. Obviously, these are kind of opposite takes of what you would think, but I'm trying to think outside the box here. Get that?
Boom.
Yeah, that's what the soundboard would be nice.
Okay.
But anyways,
We're working.
I think Joe Burrow gets it because I mean they brought back they had the I don't know if they're the two highest paid, but they got two of the highest paid wide receivers on his roster. They were good last year. They got hot last year. I could see. I mean, Joe Burrow. I have full confidence in Joe Burrow just going out there and slinging the rock.
Yeah.
Because and they have their running game was kind of figuring it out at the end of last year, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of it too much because the offensive line's still in shambles.
Okay.
But they got Sam Hubbard re-signed, so their defense is going to be back. So, or not Sam Hubbard. The other guy we talked about, Sam Hubbard retired. But anyways, I say that's probably my offensive player of the year. Then obviously, if Barkley doesn't win MVP, he's my quote dark horse offensive player of the year pick, just for straight up most dominant running back in the NFL.
Yeah. I actually have it on my notes, so it's just like just so people think that people can't see my notes. They can smell it. I'm full of crap.
I'll fact check you.
But I literally, by the two people I had in mind, were I was going to say Saquon Barkley for Offensive Player of the Year if he stays healthy. But the other one that came to mind was Joe Burrow because I think he'll put up those Madden type. I'd be surprised if Joe Burrow, because I still am not a believer in that defense.
Yeah,
so I think he'll throw for 4,800 yards. They're going to have to sling the rock, and I think Joe Burrow is totally cool with that. So, but I think if Barkley stays healthy with those weapons and Hurts having another year, and they still have two studs, and that the best offensive line in football, I think I have Barkley. I have Allen as my MVP and Saquon Barkley as my offensive player of the year.
Rolling to defensive player of the year here. There's a lot of good picks, obviously. Like Micah Parsons, obviously, is a contender for it, especially on a new team. Keon Thorough Ducks on the Giants.
Yeah.
Really good young edge rusher that kind of came into his own last year. I murdered his name, but he's a solid player.
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain's always good. Sauce Gardner had kind of a lump last year, but I'm guessing he'll bounce back. Like he got re-upped this year.
Yeah.
He'll be back. But my defensive player of the year pick is Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people would probably qualify him as a dark horse, but I think I'm a high believer on the 49ers. We'll get in that a little bit later, but I'm a big believer in the 49ers coming back. Nick Bosa was in the contention when they were quote good. I mean, it was only 2 years ago, but it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
But I think Nick Bosa, defensive player of the year, I could see him having an outrageous amount of sacks, and because they were bad last year, I looked earlier. I think they're 29th strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule is super weak in quote, and whoever, I don't know all the stats that they throw into that and how they make strength of schedule, but ESPN had them at 29th strength of schedule, and I was like, Nick Bosa coming off the edge against not very good offensive tackles. He's still a dude. You just forget he's there because of all the injuries and all that happened. And then my dark horse defensive player of the year would be Sauce Gardner. Playing, he had a bad year last year, got burned. People started like making fun of him online. And I could see him stepping up on a new defense a defensive-minded coach that's not – he has Aaron Glenn now. He had Robert Saleh, but like a new mind coming in. I can see Sauce Gardner having almost a Patrick Surtain type year, like mimicking last year. But obviously, and then the layup for me would be Patrick Surtain winning again just because I'm a Broncos fan and I want him to be good.
Yeah.
But those are Nick Bosa and Sauce Gardner are my two. Would be my real pick and my dark horse pick.
Yeah, those are solid picks as well. I have for my defensive player of the year pick, it pains me to say it because I still think that my guy in Pittsburgh is better than him. Statistically, he's been more consistent in TJ. That run from 19 to 22 that he had was just, and he'll still bring it. But honestly, I think defensive player of the year and just right the right part of his prime, and they don't have a whole lot else going for him. I'm going to say Myles Garrett probably. I think he's probably who that's my favorite pick out of the big names like you mentioned, like Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain. You said Micah Parsons, obviously on that list. TJ. Sorry, I'm forgetting a name.
And
I mean, go ahead.
I'm a big believer with you that I always believe T.J. Watt's better than Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
and Myles got more recognition than T.J. But like, I never understood it because T.J.'s had a better guys with him, but T.J.'s stature just pure numbers are better. Yeah. So I never understood that. That's just outside looking in as a non-Steelers fan. I was like, what is this?
I won't even go off on the Steelers team. But all you need to do if you like look at pure domination of his triple teams, or look at 19 when 2019 when Roethlisberger went down, we almost made the playoffs with Duck Hodges, and then 2020 when we started off 11-0. You look at consistently every single week while we were winning close games, and it was legitimately because of T.J. Watt. Now that being said, I think Myles Garrett is just like the situation he's in is in, and he's I think he's just right in his prime. On top of my dark horse though, who I guess I'm just again was too scared to put it as my actual defense, but I'm gonna take Aiden Hutchinson of Detroit. Yeah. People forget like the first 2 weeks last year. I think he had 7 or 8 sacks. Yeah. And was hurt for the year, and he's a stud. He's kind of on that Max Crosby mold. You don't see a lot of defensive linemen get it. I said, but if he's back and healthy, like I think that's my dark horse pick.
Yeah.
The other, as far as who's the better favorite, like or safe pick, I think the guys that you, and that's nothing because I'm picking the same thing, but it's just like it's that same short list. It's on the corner, Sauce Gardner having a rebound year, or Patrick Surtain, or Micah Parsons, T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, the Bosa brothers. Like those are the short lists of defensive favorites. But I think that unfortunately, I think Myles Garrett, the swinging maniac, wins the second defensive player of the year. So,
ruling the comeback player of the year. My comeback player of the year is Aiden Hutchinson. You just hit on him. Had a terrible leg injury last year. I think he played 2 games last year, and I think you're right. He had 6.5 or 7 sacks in 2 games. He was on pace to have an outstanding year, and then gets hurt obviously. And I don't think he's playing week 1 or week 2. I think they're working him back into it because he broke his tib fib, he broke his leg in half basically.
Yeah.
It's a long recovery process, but I think when he gets back and gets rolling, I feel like he could. Obviously, he brings an edge to that defensive line. He was one of Dan Campbell's first picks that said, "Hey, we're bringing you in. You're helping us set the culture here. We're getting this set here."
A Michigan guy, a Lions fan.
Yeah, he's just hometown guy basically. Mm-hmm. And then there's other Joe Flacco won it from being off the bench. Nobody would have predicted Joe Flacco was going to win comeback player of the year last year or 2 years ago now.
Right.
Nobody saw that coming. But another guy I could see winning it is Tua. Because Tua's been hurt, after the Tua hands and all the crazy stuff that's happened to him. If he can have a whole healthy year, I could see him. If he can sneak the Dolphins into that 7 seed, or at least make a run, I could see Tua winning comeback player of the year just because of all the adversity he's faced, all the injuries. I've always liked Tua. He hasn't been my favorite guy, but I've always enjoyed watching him. He always seems like he's a good quarterback. He's got 2 of the fastest receivers in the league to throw to this year. Yeah. Plus one of the fastest running backs in the league. His team is built to go. It's just it's been health down there.
Sure.
And if Mike McDaniel's actually good.
Yeah.
Well, this year we'll tell to see.
Yeah. I'm taking the cop out. I said because of my dark horse defensive player of the year candidate. I have my comeback player of the year as Aiden Hutchinson from Detroit. I guess my dark horse would be we'll see once we would know more about. Because I looked about it a little bit after our last podcast, but we'll see what kind of impact he has and what kind of impact Anthony Richardson has with the Colts. But I could see Daniel Jones as kind of that dark horse because he did show flashes of potential in a bad situation in New York. And so with the right pieces in Indianapolis and playing in the AFC South, and I think that's kind of I could see them. I could see them get to that 8-9 win mark, and I don't know. Daniel Jones is my dark horse, but I think Aiden Hutchinson will be the comeback player of the year.
If he just comes, it's almost even if he comes back and has a mediocre year, he'll get it just because the dominance, he's going to get double teamed or triple teamed sometimes. His stats might not show it, but you go watch the film, he'll be, he's a dude.
Well, that's the thing with Aiden Henderson or like guys like Miles Garrett or TJ. Like they're getting double, triple team, but they still
Yeah,
find a way. Everyone in the stadium knows that that's what you got to watch out for. People are game planning, and they still are perennial defensive
especially
player of the year candidates.
especially in
So,
like big situations, like you look to
mhm.
those guys.
Well, sorry, and then I think we got to move on. But the other thing is like what also helps that is I still anticipate even when losing the coordinators, Detroit still be able to put up a lot of points with the
Yeah,
weapons they have. So when you're up by 2 scores and then you can actually have free run because teams are going to be passing.
yeah.
That's the best time for a pass rush. So it's just like I think that plays into his strength as well. Is anticipate Detroit still being good and going to produce a lot of points. So
Let's roll. Let's roll into our playoff bracket. We're just gonna pick our top 7 teams from each side, and then have a little discussion about it. And then we'll roll on to the next thing. But let's just go. We'll go AFC 1 seed, and then we'll work our way down. If that works for you.
that works for me.
All right. So as my AFC 1 seed, we have the same ones. We talked about it already, but I have the Bills being the 1 seed. I think the Bills have another solid year. Like they basically just reloaded this year. They got Joey Bosa, so they had Von Miller, but he didn't really do anything. But Joey Bosa coming, that's bring some
Right.
kind of leadership
Not
to the locker room.
Yeah, Von Miller. Yeah.
So I have the Bills being the 1 seed and getting the first round bye.
Same. It's a quarterback-driven league, and I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. But huge Josh Allen believe he's shown that he can do it. He can make all the throws. Stage isn't too big for him. I think this is the year, personally, that Buffalo does get over the hump in the AFC. We'll get to our Super Bowl picks in a minute, but I have Buffalo as the 1 seed out of the AFC.
As the 2 seed, which this is a could be quote controversial AFC 2 seed pick, but I got the Cincinnati Bengals coming out of the division being the 2 seed. It's a tough division to play in. Who know, like the Ravens are gonna fight them for it.
Yeah.
But I got the Bengals winning the division if their defense can figure it out. I really like. I've been high on the Bengals all year, but I'm just high on that offense, like high octane, just points on the board. If their defense can figure it out, maybe.
Yeah. I got to give you a hard time in good fun. But I was just like, I thought you'd have Denver as the 1 seed just because the 15-2 record or whatever they were going to have.
Well, I came down off that high.
That's all right.
I was on a Bo Nix high, man.
That's all right. I get it. No, that's a good pick. So I'm also very high on Cincinnati because I'm a Joe Burrow believer, and that offense is going to put up man-type numbers again this year, I believe. I think the biggest thing for Cincinnati when we go through the picks is going to at the end of their Achilles heel. They did little things to have a better defense, and hopefully if they stay healthier.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be their Achilles heel. But I'm high on Cincinnati. But my number 2 pick, I actually have Kansas City.
Yeah.
I have KC as my number 2 pick. Just because of the schedule, they played a lot of close games last year. I debated about putting them the 1 seed. I said, but like I think Buffalo, I had them at the 13 wins, and Kansas City will be right there at 13 as a tiebreaker, or 12-5. So I have KC as a 2 seed.
My 3 seed would be the Broncos. I think the Broncos beat the Chiefs out for the division. And I got a lot of haters in this room, but watch it happen. Yeah, I got the Broncos getting the 3 seed. I think they edge out the Chiefs to get the 3 seed, and then I still have the Chiefs making the playoffs, but I have Broncos getting that 3 seed.
That's an interesting pick. That's a hot take. I do have Denver making the playoffs. I said I'm a believer in Bo Nix and some of the things they do on defense. People don't really realize, but it's like how they said about every defensive category, they were top 5, especially like red zone defense and stuff. So like enough pieces on defense. Me for the 3 seed, I've got Baltimore. I think Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore are head and shoulders above the rest as far as complete teams. And all 3 of them are going to have, in my opinion, at least 12 wins. So just by that close, you could mix any one of those 3 teams around, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But I do have Baltimore winning that division. So I've got Baltimore as the 3 seed.
I think our 4 seed's the same then too. We got the Houston Texans winning the South again. Last year was the first year since I think 2011, or the last year that Peyton was healthy. So whenever that was the last year they had back-to-back AFC South winners.
Wow.
Because the Jacksonville got hot and the Jacksonville got super cold, and then the Texans got hot, Texans got cold. The Titans were really good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they just had all kinds of fluctuation. But I got the Texans going back to back or going for the 3-peat for the AFC South. They're good. I think they're the best team in that league. are best team in that division by almost far. I mean, Indianapolis, I could see pushing for it, but we have to see what this quarterback play looks like from Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
That's really the breaker there.
It'll be interesting to see like with people like Hunter and Etween and some of those
Yeah.
guys and what Trevor Lawrence if he bounces back.
You kind of forget Jacksonville down there. Like,
Yeah.
they won a playoff game 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Like,
But I do have Houston because of the balance, and then again it goes back to their quarterback, most consistent out of that group by far. So I think Houston wins the division by a couple games even.
Yeah.
I've got Houston as my 4 seed.
so my 5 seed, the first one out would be I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Get the Chiefs coming in being the 5 seed. I think the Broncos barely beat them out for the division, and then but I mean Chiefs are going to be good. Mahomes is going to get them in the playoffs. Like I have full faith in that. I feel like that's a lock. Almost like if you wanted to put money on it, I would put a substantial amount of money on it, bearing injury or some craziness.
Yeah. I've got this is where I have Cincinnati. I have them also in that 10-11 win range, probably like at least 11 wins. If they can figure out the defense, they can win that division. So, but as far as like the best of the rest,
Yeah.
to me, again, as far as like true AFC contenders, it's the 3 we mentioned in the Bengals, and because of the quarterbacks. And so I have Cincinnati as my 5 seed and the number 2 team out of the AFC North.
My 6 seed, I have the Ravens. Ravens will be good. Ravens got the ground and pound offense. I think the Ravens, is good. I mean, they're going to be good. Their defense is going to be solid. It's a Harbaugh team. Always been, growing up, I've always liked the Harbaughs. Like, I remember the Harbaugh Bowl was probably one of my first actual football memories, watching the Harbaugh Bowl. So, big fan of, like, what they both do. So, I got Baltimore being the 6th seed, getting in there. Because Lamar Jackson, he's got to, if they can make it over the playoff hump, is always, talk about that with everybody but Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last time, Burrow's the only guy to beat Mahomes in the playoffs, other than Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Right.
Like he's
And of course, hurts, but then you're talking about the NFC side, but the AFC.
The AFC, like Burrow's been the only one to prove that he can do it.
Right.
So, but I can see Baltimore. Baltimore's going to be a good team. I have them at the 6th, though.
So far, it sounds like we have most of all the same teams.
Yeah, I think we have the same team.
We'll keep about the 7th seed. Yeah, yeah. That's interesting with Baltimore and KC as the 2 wild cards. But I've got my 6th seed as Denver. I do have Denver staying around that 10 win range, maybe even 11, and getting a wild card spot. So I've got Denver. I am a believer in them. And I've got them at the 6th seed. You're the 7th seed.
Yeah, the 7th seed. There's a lot of teams I feel like could be fighting for it. Like we talked about, like Miami could have a good year. Indianapolis could have a good year. The Chargers could have a good year. There's plenty of Pittsburgh could sneak in there. Like who knows what's going to happen. But I have the Chargers making it in as my 7th seed just because it was last year was year 1 of Harbaugh building the program, like his quote program. I don't know if you can really call that in the NFL, call them programs, like building the teamy way he wants at least. But I have the Chargers being the 7th seed. Justin Herbert, always a good, decent quarterback. He'll get the job done. Their defense has been good. They're going to play Harbaugh football with Najee Harris at running back. Like, he's kind of got his bruiser back now. But I have them going as the 7th seed.
That's a good pick. When I came down to my 7th pick, it was between those same teams you mentioned. It was Miami and Indianapolis, maybe Jacksonville. If everything goes right, Chargers. I say this with I was leaning towards. I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. But I am going to go with my team as the 7th seed. I think Pittsburgh gets in. Just because more often than not, they made the playoffs the last 2 years, 3 out of the last 4. Mike Tomlin doesn't have a losing record. I said, I don't know how long it'll really last into the playoffs, but
You'll be there.
I think our defense, if we stay healthy, our defense is still good enough. You still got, guys like T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig. You got pass rushers.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers, I still think even at 41 is a better upgrade, even over Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. So it'll be interesting to see the chemistry, how fast they can get on the same page, not taking any snaps in the preseason. But how again, we talked about this last time, but if Pittsburgh can have a number 2 wide receiver, there's a handful of guys like Roman Wilson and some of those guys. But I just, because of the tradition and the history, and they're usually right, they're always either the last team in or the first team out.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Rodgers has enough pieces. Like I said, we'll see how fast they can get on the same page on chemistry. I don't have them going much very far in the playoffs, but I have them as
They'll
my
be on
7th
there.
seed.
Rolling into the NFC here, the NFC side. I'm taking the betting favorite. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be a good team again. I picked Barkley as my MVP. I'm high on the Eagles. I think the Eagles go first seed again. Roll through. I mean, roll through their schedule this year. I mean, there'll be some. Obviously, there's adversity every year, but I figured that the Eagles can get through it. Nick Sirianni's a character.
I have the Eagles also as the 1 seed. I think that they're. I mean, again, it's on paper. It's all due to health.
Yeah.
You sound like a broken record, but it's just on paper. I don't see how this team doesn't win 12 or 13 games. I'm a big believer in. It hurts. Some of these polls that have him over Mahomes, I think that's ridiculous. However, like I do think Hurts is a top 5 or 6 quarterback. He's got that first Super Bowl ring that he has to actually help win. So that monkey's off his back. Right in the prime, coming up on the prime of his career, I think he'll play with a lot more confidence even. Again, if Barkley stays healthy, he's a top 5 all-around player in the NFL. You saw it last year. Probably going to, in some way, shape, or form, have close to 2,000 all-purpose yards. And then he said, then you still got 2 number 1 receivers that are, or number 1 in just about any other city that are top 15, 20 wide receivers on the same team. So the balance on top of having the best offensive line, added some depth at running back, still going to have a good defense. Like, I just don't see how Philly takes a step back unless bearing injury.
And really, like in my opinion, the only injury that truly screws them across the board is if Jalen Hurts goes down because he makes the offense run.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about, there's depth everywhere. Like they did it last year without AJ Brown for 5 weeks, and they still were the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But my number 2 pick, I have the LA Rams being the number 2 pick, and I'll get into that on the next pick why I picked the Rams going number 2. But I have the Rams going to Matthew Stafford. He's kind of gearing up like this last year. Like I feel like this is the last run for Stafford. I see they have a good team like Puka Nacua. Their running backs coming in. Sean McVay's still there. Great offensive mind. Their defense is young, so like the defense kind of fluctuates. But I have faith in them getting the 2 seed the 2 seed in the NFC.
I like that pick. That's a bold pick too. It's hard to bet against Stafford too. He's one of those established bet guys in what I'm sorry to say, in what I consider a weaker NFC.
Yeah.
Overall, from top to bottom. My number 2 pick, and I said I go back and forth on this one too because of the trade last week and because they are missing offense, both coordinators this year. But I'm still a believer in Detroit, and I think Detroit will be the 2 seed. I still have them winning 12, 13 games and being the 2 seed. I just think there's still too many. They know that they're still within that window to win one. Huge Dan Campbell believer, obviously. And then you have, the running back tandem they have with Gibbs, and it's just like, I think this is the year that Detroit goes all in.
Yeah.
So,
my 3 seed would be the Green Bay Packers. I think the Michael Parsons trade puts them over the edge against the Lions. Their defense was good. And the reason I have them going the 3 seed instead of the 2 or the 1 seed is because I feel like them and the Lions split games, and I feel like the Vikings and them split games. And then the Bears could be dangerous. Like, who knows what the Bears is going to look? The Bears are going to look like. So I can see them almost splitting games. So you have a division all going 1-1 against each other, and with a weaker NFC West, I could see the Rams pulling out some wins like 2-0 and 2-0 in Arizona, 2-0 in San Francisco, or not San Francisco, but the Seahawks, and then maybe 1-0 in one in the other team, and then so I have them as my 3 seed. I think Micah Parsons really hits that team in, so
yeah,
I feel like it adds a piece like we talked about. Like I think that just pushes them, putting that 3 seed category for me.
Well, on my more conservative, like not really going on a limb, playing it safe, but was what I really believe. But on my kind of trendy outfit, my number 3 seed, San Francisco. I think San Francisco wins that division. I don't hear a lot of people talking about them. I've seen other reports as low as like the 10th or 12th best NFC team, which just blows my mind. I don't think that's the consensus, but San Francisco, other than Philadelphia, has been the most consistent, dominant team in the NFC the last 5 to 10 years, outside of Philadelphia. And so everybody was talking about San Francisco going to the Super Bowl last year, maybe even winning, getting over that hump, just coming off multiple Super Bowl appearances. So obviously the big thing is health with McCaffrey, whether Brock Purdy plays more like balanced football and plays like he did the first couple of years rather than last year whether it wasn't worth the money. Um, thank you. Yeah, I think that's not a team that a lot of people are talking about. So, but you talk about another team that's been there, played in big games. That usually shows up in the postseason. I still, if in the right situation, am a believer in Brock Purdy. They still, I know they lost Debo Samuel, but you mentioned some other pieces they added. Sky Moore still has some speed to kind of help Brock Purdy out and set in that offense a weapon. When you got McCaffrey in the background. And you said Brandon Ayuk, and you said and you have
Yeah.
you still have enough pieces. So I think San Francisco is going to sneak up on a lot of people, and I think that they'll win that division. Actually, Shanahan's still a hell of a coach. So
And then my 4 seed doesn't really need defending, but I got Tampa Bay.
yeah,
I mean, that division's in shambles, so to
Yeah.
say. Tampa Bay's a solid team. I'll always bet on Baker Mayfield if I can. Like, the guy's just a winner. He just loves winning. He's a competitor. He's going to go out there.
Yeah.
But I got them as my 4 seed riding out the.
yeah, we have that one the same as well. Just in a weaker NFC South.
Yeah.
By far the most consistent team, and I'm a believer in two things in Tampa Bay, and that's I'm a believer over the last 2 or 3 years now with Baker Mayfield and being a quality NFL starter, and then also like Mike Evans. I mean, he missed how many games last year? 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And he came on a tear at the end of last year and still had 1,000
Yeah.
yards.
Still got his piece.
Yeah, future Hall of Fame wide receiver. He may not be in his prime, but you still have a true number one there in a weak division, and yeah, I don't think they'll have the same records as the Eagles or Lions. I don't think they're going to go like 13-4. So
Yeah,
just by
they'll get in there. They'll be
division
10-7.
yeah, exactly. So I have the Bucks as my 4 seed as well.
My 5 seed, I got Detroit Lions. Like I said, tough division, but I think they look better than the Niners because obviously we talked about Brock Purdy's play. I mean, I kind of gave away my 6th pick, but my 6th pick's the 49ers. So I got because Niners, they're going to figure it out. I have them making it. I have them being a really good team, but like there's going to be some growing pains with these new guys. And then my 5 seed, the Lions, and they're going to be good. I just have the Packers edging them out with this new defense they have out there.
Yeah, I've got as the 5 seed. I've actually got the Commanders. I have them with Dan Quinn, and now they have Debo Samuel out there, and they still have a productive Zach Ertz and like Scary Terry, and like I said, playing with house money last year. I do think that the Commanders will be the best of the rest. You know what I mean? I said they could be one of the top 3 or 4 teams, but because they're in the same division as the Eagles.
Yeah, they get pushed down.
Yeah, so I have the Commanders as the 5 seed.
And then my 6th seed was the Niners, just because.
Oh, so yeah. So my 6th seed I actually have as, and I said this might change in the first 2 weeks of the season, but I actually have Green Bay as my 6th seed.
Yeah.
You kind of already touched on it. I said, but just Jordan Love has, for the most part, if he stays healthy, has been consistent. He's shown that he can play on that stage the last couple of years. And then you said, I think that if Jacob stays healthy, I said that run game late in the year, and then now you have a person where you're rushing the quarterback with Micah Parsons, frees up some space, good secondary. Like they're just a really good, complete team. And it's a team that I don't have it right in front of me, but won 10 or 11 games last year. And I think that Micah Parsons is good for a couple wins.
Yeah, just outright into the game, pass rushing.
I won't be shocked if they're fighting for a 2 or 3 seed.
Yeah.
But because I'm a believer in the Commanders, just because of the like how I see it playing out, like I have Green Bay as my 6th seed.
My last seed, I was debating on being crazy and putting the Falcons here because they have a team that's primed that could get in there. Like they have really good weapons, and just offensively have not been able to click at all. You gotta get bench Kirk Cousins, but I'm gonna go the safe route here. Go the Commanders.
Yeah,
I think Jaden goes through a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think he'll still be good, but people figured out how to play against him, how to what affects him more. But I have the Commanders going in as a 7 seed. They'll be good. Their defense is good. I love Dan Quinn. He seems like to know what he's doing. Yeah. They have Kingsbury as their OC. They got dudes. They're my 7th seed just for pure NFC North domination, in my opinion.
See, this is one I will differ on. I went back and forth. Either way, I had a team coming out of the NFC West, but I'm actually putting Matt Stafford on the outside looking in. I'm going to go with Seattle. I am a believer with the 1-2 punch and with Walker as the number 1 running back and some of the other offensive pieces. Cooper Kupp in the slot. Seattle's got a lot of nice things, and like I wasn't a Sam Darnold believer, and I do think that part of that was in the system and the mastermind of O'Connell in Minnesota. But I still think he's coming into a good situation. They still have a decent defense, still a tough place to play, and it's the NFC West. Like I said, you have three legitimately good teams, but it's not like they're like, you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, they're not.
Their schedule doesn't look as daunting.
They're not world breakers.
Right. And so, like, with that, I think that Sam Darnold's an experienced guy that's been there, and I had a hard time. I think it could be split hairs where it could be one of those things where a tiebreaker, like a head-to-head, whether one goes 2-0. But the Rams, Seahawks on the 7th, I have the Seahawks as that 7th team getting in the NFC.
Yeah, well, that concludes our picks here. We're going to take a quick pause here, and then we're going to get right into our predictions for all 16 games of Week 1.
All right, Slew. So break us down the games this weekend, all right?
So we got some high-pressure football here. Starting off strong with some good old some NFC East action, classic Cowboys and Eagles starting off Thursday Night Football.
I have the Eagles winning this because, like we talked about earlier, Cowboys just lost their team captain, defensive stud. I got the Eagles winning. I'd say almost by 2 touchdowns. I see the Eagles come out, just roll after the Super Bowl. No Super Bowl hangover for these guys.
No, as it seems like a lot of years, give or take a few, it always end up being like a homecoming game. Like,
Yeah.
for real. So, like, I think Philadelphia wins pretty handily. It's that everyone's healthy. Week 1 celebration of the Super Bowl. I had Dallas in shambles. I shouldn't say in shambles. We don't know yet. I'm sure. I think like having Pickens and CD will be the bright spot for Dallas, and Dak Prescott can still play a little.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to keep pace with Philadelphia. I don't think I think it'll be.
Moving into Friday Night Football in Week
Brazil.
1 in Brazil edition, baby. We got Chiefs playing the Chargers. Let's go.
On YouTube for free. So
On
if you don't
YouTube
have
for
any
free,
kind of
yeah.
streaming service, you can still watch it on YouTube on your phone.
Mhm.
But I have in this game, I have the Chiefs rolling down there and winning. I mean, obviously, there's not really a home team for this one. Like, it's going to be a crazy crowd no matter what. But I think Mahomes and just the experience that the Chiefs have of going in different environments and winning. And Andy Reid, he probably's got the boys prepped. Like, he's coached in London a couple of times. He probably knows what it looks like going to a different country. So I got the Chiefs winning. Just straight up.
Yeah, I think Kansas City's on a mission this year, and like you said, like you give. I would like to see what Kansas City's record is in home openers, but it's like saying that's bye. Usually you give Andy Reid more than a couple of weeks to prepare for somebody. I know it's a little bit hard week 1 because teams change from year to year, but I was tempted to pick that scare because I do think the Chargers will be competitive and just catching them off guard that first game. But the fact that it's a neutral site and I think that Kansas City will win.
Nice. Moving on to Sunday at noon. Our first game we got here is Cardinals versus Saints.
Got the Cardinals just out of pure Week 1 readiness. Obviously, Saints announced the starting quarterback's going to be Rattler. But I like the Cardinals. I got K1, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner. Trey McBride's still there. I mean, Buda Baker's hanging out back there in the back secondary. I just like the Cardinals. I mean, this is kind of one of those picks that it could go either way. We could see a Saints team we've never seen before, but just out of pure. No, I don't like New Orleans, so just give me the Cardinals win.
Yeah. No, same thing. I've got the Cardinals winning this with Kyler Murray, and so Arizona made a little bit of noise or tried to at the end of the year last year. Looking to build off that, I don't think they'll obviously make the playoffs.
It's not going to amount to much, but
Right, but against the Saints team, I think they'll struggle to score points. Arizona's got enough pieces on offense. The fact that it's in the Superdome and in New Orleans, like New Orleans might keep it close for a while, but ultimately, I think they've got too many guys past their prime, honestly, in New Orleans, and I like Arizona in that one.
Nice. Next up, we got some AFC South action. The Fins at the Colts.
Yeah, I feel like this game go either way. It's in Indy, so the Lau House.
The
Who
Lau
knows?
House.
That's the house of paint and built, whatever you want to call it. I think Miami goes in there and wins, though. It's Week 1. Everybody's going to be healthy. They got the speed demons out there. Like Jalen Waddle, Tua, Acne. well, I mean, I think they just went out of pure overwhelming, and the Colts, who knows what we're going to get. Jonathan Taylor's going to run the ball. I know that much.
Yeah.
But besides that, who knows what we're going to get?
Yeah. So I hate to do a 4-for-4, but I also got Miami just because of first game of the year, having everybody healthy. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, still a good Dolphins defense. I said I know he's not what he used to be, but like getting Minka Fitzpatrick back. Um, I'm not a huge believer in Indy. I said it'll be interesting to see what Daniel Jones can do. I said, and he said Jonathan Taylor. I expect to have a good game based on what Miami's run defense was last year.
Yeah.
But too many. The same thing as the pick before. It's just like I don't think Indianapolis has the offensive weapons to keep up with Miami, and I expect Miami to be the rookie of the year. So I think that there's enough toughness with that defense and Max Crosby. And although I think that May will also take a step in his second year with New England, I think there's still too much veteran presence, but like more better prepared, I guess, for the start of the year. Like they might end at different spots of the year, but for week one, give me the Raiders, give me Pete Carroll, give me Geno Smith, people that know how to win games that are like where
Yeah,
they're not going to
margins.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Steelers going to MetLife Stadium to face the Jets.
Sheesh. Justin Fields revenge game ? I think the Steelers get it done. I mean, I could see the Jets. I mean, I feel like go either way on this one. Give me the Steelers just because DK Metcalf. I'm always like DK, especially when he's in Seattle. But now he's got a little bit, hopefully a consistent quarterback. It's also an Aaron Rodgers homecoming. Like there's a lot of players and I think the reason this game gets won is strictly off of TJ Watt. Justin Fields is going to drop back to pass, and TJ Watt's athletic enough to chase him down. It's really it's the reason why.
Well, I have Pittsburgh winning this game. I said traditionally these are the games where, like I said, Pittsburgh will win the games they don't have any business winning, and they'll lose the games like how did you lose that?
What happened?
But I don't think that happens. Even with I think it'll take a couple quarters for Rodgers to get into a real rhythm in game time. We can see
in actual
game
speed. Yeah.
But I do think there's enough weapons. I said even if they take away Metcalf with Gardner, with our run game and with the other offensive weapons we had in just Aaron Rodgers, and then like you said, Fields being in Pittsburgh last year, we know what his weaknesses, what his strengths are, and like I think it's gonna be too overwhelming, and the Jets don't have enough pieces on our defense. They always look great. Like the first 2 months of the year,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's always like, oh, they're gonna go further this year. It's distracting.
Roll into your
Yeah, I have Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
We got some more NFC East action. Giants at the Commies.
I got the Commanders at home. Giants, I think they started Russ as announced as their week one starter. I don't know who it is, but I got the Commanders winning, primed, ready to go, back up. Giants got a lot to figure out before we can talk about them beating playoff teams.
Yeah. No, I have the same thing. I have the Commanders picking up where they left off, winning the games they should. Like I said, I think Dan Quinn brings that stability where hopefully for Washington, those games where you're consistently beating the teams that you should win. Home opener, a lot of expectations. And like I said, there's still too many question marks. I think that Russell Wilson is going to be the starter, and they'll keep it close for a while. He'll be a lot closer than what people think. And hopefully he'll be solid. He'll play a solid game, Russell Wilson will. But still, I don't know who's going to make the defensive play to stop the Commanders.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Giants have enough offensive weapons. And at least you saw at the end of last year where Wilson did kind of show his age. So, but I have the Commanders winning that one.
Nice. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Jags. Some cat bowl action.
Give me the Panthers. I think the Jags start slow. I think Travis Hunter will have himself a day probably. They have weapons, but I like the Bryce Young that we saw after he got benched last year and came back. The Bryce Young that we saw almost beat Kansas City in Arrowhead. I see that Bryce Young coming back this year with the fire and saying, you know what, I'm ready to He lost his number one wide receiver. He's got Xavier Legette, who sounds like lives in Lakeside Village. He's
easy now.
But yeah, I got the Panthers purely off of Bryce Young just coming out. And, mean, they have J.C. Horn. That's the only defensive player I can name. But I like the Carolina Panthers beating Jacksonville.
I have Jacksonville win this game. I think this will be a close game. I do believe that Bryce Young takes a step in his second year starting. Uh, but I just think that this is a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence. Whether he gets back to the level he was 3 years ago, we'll see. But with those other offensive weapons and the run game that they have, playing at home against what I still feel like this Carolina team, and I know they've added some nice pieces, but like overall, still has some holes, still building. And I do think that Young takes a step, but excuse me, but I like Trevor Lawrence and the Jags to take big care of business at home.
Nice. Next up, we got some AFC North action. We got the Bengals going into the dog pound to face the Browns.
I have got the Bengals winning. Talked about high octane offense. Myles Garrett will get him some. He'll get a sack or two. Myles Garrett will eat, but I have Bengals winning just out of pure Bengals offense better than Browns offense. Don't get me wrong, Jerry Jeudy will show out. Isaiah Ford will he'll run the ball, but give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I too have Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's the 2 seed, or the second team in the AFC North this year. Joe Burrow, that offense. Cleveland, still trying to figure out, like, Flacco can still win you games. This isn't one of them. No. I think Cincinnati will. I think Cincinnati's got too much offensive firepower. Yeah, I think Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Nice. We got some NFC South action. The Bucks going in the ATL to face the Falcons.
Give me the Atlanta Falcons to upset the Bucks week 1.
What?
I have the Bucks winning the division, talked about, but I feel like the Buccaneers, they started a little bit slow last year, took them a little bit to get rolling. Once they got hot, they got hot. Like they were the Bengals of the NFC. But I got Atlanta. It's been the first offseason of Michael Penix Jr. coming out, being the starter. They have really good offense, Bijan Robinson, and I have them beating. It might be slim, but I feel like every year the Bucks and Atlanta split at some point. And it's in Atlanta. It's in the Superdome, or not the Superdome, in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. So I got Atlanta upsetting the Bucks week 1.
Well, that'll be our third game we have different then. So I have Tampa Bay. It's just like Robinson's another one of those ones where I thought about for Offensive Player of the Year. He'll also stays healthy. Will probably be in that 1,700 to 2,000 total yards from scrimmage. Hell of a football player. But same thing. There's just too many questions. I'm not a believer in the quarterback position right now. Don't know what to expect out of the Atlanta defense, so we'll see. It said, but with Baker Mayfield and what Tampa Bay has being consistent now for 2 years, I think they take care of business on the road. I just noticed I have a lot of road teams winning week 1, so it makes me a little nervous. But give me Tampa Bay.
Moving into the 305 slot, we got 49ers at the Hawks.
I have the 49ers as a playoff team as well, but I have the Seahawks winning this game just because they're going into the 12th man stadium week 1. It's a little bit of a new look offense for both of them, both trying to figure out their identity. But since it's the Seahawks at home, it's a 3:05 game West Coast time. Like, I just have the Seahawks winning this one by a slim margin. I think the Niners get them back when they play at Levi Stadium, but I say Seattle wins this one week 1. Early starts hot.
So I could go either way with this pick. I mean, we talked about the NFC West as far as like the Rams, Niners, Seahawks. I can see any one of those 3 teams finishing in any one of those 3 spots. So, like, to me, this is one of the top 3 games. It's a great 3 o'clock game between the Niners and Seahawks, and kind of will tell us. I think it'll tell us a lot. I mean, I know it's only week 1, but where to expect it as far as the seeding goes. I said it'd be interesting to see Sam Darnold, new home in Seattle. Again, see that bounce attack, Addie Cooper Cup. For those, get the first down, slot receiver. But I give me San Francisco. I think that fully healthy week 1, Christian McCaffrey, 7 plays on offense. I think Brock Purdy is really determined to have a better year this year. We'll have a better year. I trust Shanahan as a coach. And so we'll get to this again. We talked about it before the podcast, and we'll get to it again here in a minute with one of the other 3 big games of the week.
Yeah.
Going on in the NFC North. But this game here could be a tiebreaker. So we talked about who our playoff teams were in the NFC, where You don't make too big of a reaction on week one, so they could really have a playoff spot.
It's gonna come back to bite either team.
Yeah, so I'd say that should be a really good. And those games are always close too.
Yeah.
So same for Seattle. I'll be watching that game at 3. I know you'll be watching the Broncos, but I'll be
I probably won't be in market.
Moving to the 325 time slot, the Twitch Inbox Sports Talk Game of the Week. NFC North action, Lions at the Packers.
Yeah, I got a lot. This game, I mean, like Twitch just stated, this could have playoff implications week one, just because you're playing a division opponent. We both have these guys top 2 in their division, but I have the Packers at Lambeau pulling this one out. I think it's going to take a little bit for this Detroit offense to get rolling with the new offensive coordinator. They still got the pieces, but you got to figure out how the pieces go together and how this new coordinator wants to run this offense. When the Packers are returning everybody, and they just added Defensive Player of the Year candidate Micah Parsons. I mean, I just have Green Bay winning. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be It might be a shootout. It might be a 7-3 game. Yeah. Who knows where we're going to get? But I have Green Bay winning.
I think it's going to be like that 27-24, 30-27 type game.
Yes, close.
I do have Green Bay winning, even though I still have Detroit for now winning that division. I do agree that. I just think the momentum, Green Bay being so close, and then adding Parsons last week, just the momentum and playing week one division rival.
Yeah.
At Lambeau, like they'll have that momentum, and I think Green Bay wins.
Yep.
Moving on to the second 325 slot, we got Texans at Rams.
This is 2 playoff teams from either side playing, in my opinion. I have the Rams winning out west in SoFi. Matthew Stafford comes out. He didn't play all preseason, but I think he comes out hot with Puka Nacua. Their young defense was flying around at the end of last year. I think the Texans will go out there. They kind of have some wide receiver questions. Joe Mixon's going to miss some time. So I think it's going to take a little bit for the Texans to get rolling, but it's not really going to hurt them because they play in a weaker division compared to division that like the NFC West that needs every non-division game you play is almost needed to get your spot.
So say that again. So you got Houston?
No, I got the Rams winning
because you have to get one division.
Yeah,
I also have the Rams just because it's just because I have them on the outside. So I still have them with a winning record. I still have Matthew Stafford. I expect big things from C.J. Stroud this year. I am a believer in him as well. But just because it's at L.A. and so because of the weapons they had and they came on strong, people forget too just how close the Rams were to. They were the closest out of the last 3 games of the year for Philadelphia. I mean, I know the Commanders played them tough until the third quarter, but the Rams had opportunities to actually win that game, and that was kind of a down year. They had some injuries last year too. Yeah. So, I think the Rams win that one.
My notes got a little mixed up here. We missed the 305 game, but that would be Titans at the Broncos.
I got the Broncos winning. Titans rookie quarterback. I have respect for Cam Ward, but I think the Broncos defense is going to be overwhelming week one. Nick Bonito coming off a crazy year last year, 7.5 sacks, 2 pick sixes. He's going against Defensive Player of the Year returning PS2. The defense reloaded. I feel like the offense might struggle a little bit like it did early last year, but it's also the Titans, so I have a little bit of faith in us getting this one done. Shout out LSV will be out there in Denver at the game, live reporting for us. Not actually, but he'll just be there watching.
Shout out to the Water Boy.
Shout out to Water Boy.
Yeah.
Most important part of the team.
I don't see Tennessee winning this any chance. So I think Denver's, like I said, kind of a trendy pick, and like the Commanders last year were playing with house money. Now they've added some pieces, and so I'm really interested to see what happens next year. I still think they're away from being true contenders, but Denver I think is going to be a playoff team. Tennessee's, my prediction, one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the league still. Nothing against Cam Ward. I like his athletic ability. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to translate to a starter, but with that defense at Mile High, week one, expectation, Sean Payton, everything. Just give me Denver. I don't even think it's going to be close.
Moving into Sunday night football, we got a heater.
Game to me is literally 50-50.
Yeah.
And so kind of going back to the Detroit Green Bay game, this one probably even more so. But it's just one of those things where you don't want to put too much emphasis on a week one game, but literally, you look back on the end of the year, and this could be the difference between a 1 or 2 seed and the 6 and 7
Yeah,
seed.
this could be a tiebreaker to kick one
Absolutely.
1-1 and 1-6.
Right, especially because they play each other once a year, or because of they both won
Yeah.
the division last year. Although I do have Buffalo winning the AFC and getting over that hump, I actually have Baltimore winning this game. I just think that, I think it'll be the same thing. It'll be close, 27-24. I said, but the way Baltimore lost last year in Buffalo with the Andrews drop and just that, especially with everybody being healthy week 1,
Yeah,
that
you have your
monster
dudes.
of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and some of the guys they got on offense. I said, I think Baltimore has the better overall defense, and I think that they steal one on Sunday. What a great those games.
Yeah, I just got fired up, man. Like I'm
Yeah.
excited. Like NFL
Yeah.
football's back.
I
Let's
quit.
go.
Yeah.
Finishing off with Monday Night Football, we got some more NFC North action with the Vikings going to Soldier Field to face the Bears.
I feel like this will be a better game than people are giving it credit for. Bears have quote reloaded. Like the only offensive weapon they lost was Keenan Allen, and he didn't really do too much on the field wise. And the Vikings, JJ McCarthy first start, but I have the Bears winning this one because of Jay Jettis not being 100%. Addison's not going to play. McCarthy's going to roll out there first actual true NFL game 1 start. The Bears defensive line's always been decent. Like they still have Swift there. They have Sweat. Like they have some guys there. So I think, and it's in Chicago. It's at Soldier Field. It's Monday Night Football, so I'm guessing it's gonna be rocking. Because what's Chicago gonna do on Tuesday? Nothing. So I mean, the White Sox are no bueno. So what else are they gonna watch? So go to the Bears game. I have the Bears winning. I think Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams does better this year than he did last year. I still don't think Caleb Williams was as hyped up as he needed to be. I think not Kingsbury. The USC head coach, Lincoln Riley, made him better than he was, just out of pure scheme. We kind of saw that with Jalen Hurts. It took Jalen Hurts a minute to develop into an NFL quarterback coming out of the Lincoln Riley system.
Sure.
Granted, he was at Bama first, but
Right.
I have the Bears winning just out of already injury to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And it's at home. Caleb Williams. It's new head coach Ben Johnson's first game at home. Like I feel like there's just a little bit more amped up than O'Connell rolling down there and saying, it's just another division game. We're going to make the playoffs anyways. Fuck you guys.
Well, I had this one also as a kind of a 50-50. Said I think, but before we started the podcast, I had the Vikings. I said I think I'm going to go with Chicago as well, just for the reasons you mentioned, like McCarthy not having the starting experience on a Monday night game. Caleb Williams, I said I'm not sure that the Bears are going to take that full leap forward, or if he's the long-term answer quarterback, but he has shown signs of potential. And it's not like Minnesota, although a balanced team, that they're also like a Philadelphia, Kansas City. So a winnable game at home, Monday Night Football in Chicago, Sports City. And like you said, and they can still get pressure on the quarterback. And I said, I do think that'll matter to McCarthy and a guy that hasn't played in a primetime game on that side in the pro level.
Yeah.
I
mean, McCarthy's played in big games, just not NFL.
Right. So with that, I'm going to go with you on I have Chicago, the Bears.
The
I have
Bears.
the Bears winning.
But yeah, I feel like we have good games this week. I mean, I'm excited to be back. College football's got some good games this week. KU, Mizzou. Yeah, I'm excited for that one just because Screw Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm not a KU fan. I never cheer for KU.
2-0 KU, the 2-0 Jayhawks.
The one time I might cheer for KU is against Missouri just because it's Mizzou. But we got some good football this week. Yeah, some good football this week. We're going to have some final statements here, and then we'll get out of here, let you guys get on your way.
I want to thank everybody out here. Again, this is Greg, known as LSV for Life on social media, owner of the Backstage Pass and Lake Perry Adventures. So if you're looking for a great weekend adventure, run an escape room rental called The Mystery of the Lost Souls on Lake Perry, hit me up if you're interested. Anyway, it's been my pleasure being home of the Twitch and Box Sports Talk here.
Yeah.
So
it was a good week. Appreciate it.
We hope that you'll keep tuning in. We enjoyed doing it and talking football. So I know we don't have one of my favorite podcasts, with Jason and Travis Kelce. I know we don't have the Taylor Swift for the viewership on our shows, but maybe the Trailer Swift. So, but we hope you keep tuning in, and we appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, appreciate everybody. Shout out to Sloosh for coming back for a year or two, not really taking a main role here, but helping us take notes and helping being a production leader here.
Nice.
So we appreciate everybody listening, and hope everybody has a great week.
Sluice, thank you.
Hope all your bets hit.
What's in the
Hope all your
box?
parlays hit. Hope you win your fantasy football week. Everybody have a great week.
Don't drink and